Once there was a man named Ulf who had 3 grown-up daughters. Each had married a troll and gone to live inside a hill. Ulf had not seen any of them since their weddings. One day he decided he would pay them all a surprise visit. So he set off for the house of his eldest. He walked till he came to the hill where she lived, and just then a door in the hillside flew open, said his daughter. She took him by the hand and led him inside. And husband, look, she told the troll. It's my father. Will you go buy some meat for the stew that's on the fire? Why buy what is already owned, said the troll. And with that, he picked up a mallet and hit himself on the back of the head. Thunk! His head flew off into the stew pot. Yuck, said Ulf. The troll didn't seem to mind at all, though. He just watched calmly as his head bubbled away in the stew. Then a new head grew on his shoulders, and he said, Now I feel as good as new. Ah, said Ulf when he got home. He told his wife, I have learned something wonderful. What have you learned? She asked. But Ulf just smiled and said, I know what I know. The next day, his wife told him, We need meat for the stew. Will you go buy some? Why buy what is already owned? said Ulf. And he, too, picked up a mallet and knocked himself on the back of the head. Thunk, oof, said Ulf. He fell senseless to the floor. When he came to, his wife said, Husband, why in the world did you hit yourself? Never mind, said Ulf, grumpily. I know what I know. Ulf spent the next few days in bed recovering from his bump on the head, and when it had gone down, he decided to pay a visit to his middle daughter. He walked till he came to the hill where she lived, and just then a door in the hill flew open. Welcome, said his daughter. She took him by the hand and led him inside. And husband, look, it's my father. Will you go buy some candles for the table? Why go far for what is near, said the troll. He put his hand in the fire. SSSS. When he pulled it out, his fingers were lit like candles and made the room quite bright. Oh, said Ulf. When he got home, he said, I have learned something marvelous. What have you learned? Said his wife. Ulf smiled. I know what I know. A few days later, his wife said, We need candles for the table. Will you go buy some? Why go far for what is near? Said Ulf. He stuck his hand in the fire. SSSSS. Yeo, he cried, and hopped about the room, waving his hand in the air. At last, he fell in a faint. When he woke up, his wife said, Husband, why in the world did you burn yourself? Never mind, said Ulf. I know what I know. Yulf had to wear a bandage for over a week while his hand healed, and when it had fully recovered, he decided to pay a visit to his youngest daughter. So he walked till he came to the hill where she lived. And just then a door flew open. Welcome, said his daughter. She took him by the hand and led him inside. And husband, look, it's my father. Will you go buy some fish for our dinner? Why fetch what will soon arrive, said the troll. They went outside to the well, and the troll jumped in. Splash, fish after fish came flying out. Then the troll jumped out again. Oh, said Ulf. When he got home, he said, I have learned something wondrous. What have you learned? I know what I know. A few days later, His wife said, "We need fish for our dinner. Will you go buy some? Why fetch what will soon arrive?" Said Ulf. He brought her outside, then he jumped in the well. As she splashed, "Help!" cried Ulf, who couldn't swim. His wife quickly lowered the bucket. Ulf grabbed the rope and climbed out, then sat dripping and shivering on the ground. "Husband, why in the world did you jump in the well?" "Never mind," said Ulf. "I know what I know." "Well, of course you do, silly," said his wife. "But what do you know?" Ulf thought about it. "I know that," he said slowly. "I know that." He said a little louder, "I know nothing." Then suddenly, as if an idea had just popped into his head, he said, "Run away. I say run away." "What?" said his wife. "Why should I run away? Don't you see? The trolls, they might come looking for me, and if they find us here, we'll be in great danger. We must go at once." His wife wasn't convinced, but she didn't want to argue with him. So she packed a bag with some bread and cheese and a bottle of wine, and they ran away together. They walked for days, and one evening they came across a cave and decided to spend the night there. "I'm so tired," said his wife. "Let's just stay here, shall we? We can make a fire and sleep by it." "No, no, no," said Ulf. "This is sure to be a troll cave. You can never tell when one of them might pop out of nowhere to eat us. No, we must keep moving." And so they kept walking. In the morning, they found another cave and stayed there that night. And the same thing happened. Soon as it was dark, Ulf said, "Come on, come on. This is sure to be a troll cave, and they'll be coming along any minute now." "Oh, for heaven's sake," said his wife. "You're scaring me half to death. Don't you think I know how to take care of myself? I'm not such a silly little girl as you seem to think I am. I can defend myself. Thank you very much. If any trolls show up, I'll just give them a good talking to." But still, Ulf insisted that they keep moving, and so they left the cave and walked on. Before long, they heard a noise behind them and turned around. To their horror, they saw 4 pairs of glowing red eyes coming closer and closer. "See, I told you," whispered Ulf to his wife. Just then, a large troll stepped forward and said in a deep voice, "Hold it right there, travelers. What are you doing in these parts?" "Uh-oh," said Ulf's wife. Here it was, the moment she had been dreading. Now she would be eaten by a troll. But instead of getting scared, she just stepped forward, put her hands on her hips, and said, "Me. I'm looking for a nice, cozy cave to live in, because I do get along with my husband. That's why I've left home and am traveling all alone." The troll looked at her for a moment without saying a word. Then he started to laugh, and his 3 companions laughed with him until their sides split. When they had calmed down a bit, the largest troll asked, "Are you really alone? Where is your husband?" "Oh, he's not worth worrying about," she replied. "He's too stupid to know his own backside from a hole in the ground. Honestly, I'd rather live in a cave with a bunch of trolls than with that man. If you can offer me a better life, I'm yours." The troll took her by the hand and said, "Come with me." Then he turned to his companions and said, "Quick, let's get her home before my wife wakes up. She's going to be so pleased to have company." And so Ulf's wife left with the trolls, but poor old Ulf had to continue his journey alone. He walked and walked until he came across a cave and decided to spend the night there. In the morning, he woke up and felt better. For the first time since he had met the trolls, he wasn't afraid anymore. So he walked out of the cave, stood up straight, and said out loud, "I may be alone, but at least I know who I am. And I also know what I know, which is more than can be said for those stupid trolls." And so Ulf continued on his way, happy to be free from fear, free from his wife, and free to travel the world on his own. The end.